Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Just wanted to make a short video to answer some questions that I've received over the last few weeks. And the question was, once we buy all of the components that are in the build sheets, what else is there, in terms of screws and electrical connectors and that sort of thing? Do I have to have a big box full of everything? And so I thought that the best way I could do that is to show you what I do. And I'm going to break it down into two sessions. The first one will be electrical. And so let's start with there. And remember, we're only talking about the UltraScan. And one of the advantages of the UltraScan are the very few components that are there. And what I do, you got to have one of these. And you'll notice that the colors are going to be in line with all the colors that are needed when you're hooking up the controller on the UltraScan. And with those, you have to have a pair of strippers. Don't try to, just go ahead and get you a good pair of strippers and stop the frustration. And of course, you got to have a pair of nips. And that's all you have to have electrically for the UltraScan. And I'll show you over here in this mess I've got made as to why that is. Because on the UltraScan, see if I can get, the only two components you have, or three components, are the battery itself. The battery brings power into the controller, and that's the only connection there. And those are screw connections. And then you have the power going to the motor. Again, that's a screw connection at the controller. And then you have the two limit switches, which again are screw connections at the controller. So what I'm trying to say is there are no butt connectors involved, no slip connectors involved, or nothing else. So the simplicity of that just makes things pretty nice. Now, that's okay for that, but let me show you what happens on the Ultralock. Now, there are a lot of connections, there's a lot of wiring going on in the Ultralock. And so how do you make those connectors? Even the smallest kind of connector you can find is still too big, takes up too much room. So what I use are the uninsulated connectors that have, of course, the shrink tube that fits over it. And with these, you have to have this clamp device here. And as for shrinking, I use this little butane torch. Just makes things a lot easier than trying to hook up the electrical heat gun in order to do that. And let's go back to this big mess I got over here, and I'll show you why. So there's some connectors. And so as you can see, you need to try to keep everything as close to the wire size as you can, just so you can poke it down in the corners and get it out of the way. So that's about all there is. I will pause at this point. And oh, I should also say that I think I made the point, but in case I didn't, because these little buttons are they're really sharp, I cut a piece of aluminum and shoot, what am I trying to say? Doggone it. And super glued it to this. Same over here. This one I painted red so I would know that this is for that rotation. So if I ever take this out, I know which way it has to go back in there. And for those, I just sacrificed one of my buzz baits and cut a little piece out for each one of these things. So let's pause for a moment. Let me put together some three mechanical things that I need to show you that will help you with doing the final assembly. Alrighty then, I think I have this set up. It's a lot more complicated on the mechanical side, but let me see if I can get through this without confusing you too much. So let's start with the LB and the fixed support shaft coming out of it. And a comment I should make is that over time, I've tended to use 632 set screws to hold these things in place. And part of that's because, you know, I make so many different styles of them and I reuse them and that sort of thing. But part of it's just kind of dumb. The best thing to do is just to go ahead and glue these things together and move on. And I'll show you why. I'm trying to eliminate those set screws, and if I can do that, I can get it down to one screw size in the whole required in the whole package. And let me show you what those screw sizes are. It's a 4mm screws. There's 4 of them required to hold the motor, or hold this. To hold the motor onto this top cover. And there's also 4 of them required to hold the motor coupling onto the end of the movable shaft. And there's 2 different sizes there. There's a 4mm by 16mm, which is that guy. And then there's a 4mm by 8mm, which is this little guy right here. And as far as that goes, that's it. So it keeps that pretty simple for you, and you don't have to spend a fortune buying screw assortments. And the one thing I was not able to figure out and get away around is there's a 632 set screw right here. I think we better do that one. And gluing here wouldn't. I don't think it would hold. So it's better to go ahead and put that set screw in there. I hate it, but and when it comes down to that, let me show you something that is pretty handy for me. Well, I have to apologize for not being prepared to show you this. I wasn't planning to. Well, shoot. Hold on just a minute and I'll get this done. There we go. For working around this general stuff, these little combination drill and tap assemblies, I've got one side is metric and the other side is imperial. It's really handy, especially with sheet metal or light duty aluminum, PVC, that sort of thing. And that's what I use for when I am working on something like that. Now, let's take a minute to talk about this end of the movable shaft. We have to start here with this 3/4 inch plug, and that 3/4 plug fits snugly into that 1 inch down shaft. And what we have to do is get a 5/16 hole right in the middle of that guy. And when it comes to that, this fellow here is your friend. As you can see what I've already done there, marking it out. And then I'll use the center punch to go ahead and get a hole, and then I'll drill that with a 5/16 drill. Once I've done that, then I can, what I have in here is a transfer punch, but I don't expect you to have one of those. And I'll show you what that's used for in a minute. Then I can slide this coupling down over it, and that lets me locate those 4 holes, which take the shorter, that takes the number 4 by 8mm. So really when you go to purchase these, all you need is 4 pieces of 4mm by 16 and 4 pieces 4mm by 8. But if you're like me, you'd probably better double that, because I'll lose 2 and break 3. So so now we're ready to move on, and the next step is now that we have our downshaft is complete at this point. But what we need to do then is transfer this location, this center location, up into this cover, so we have a place for our shaft to come through at the top. And the way I do that is just with this transfer screw, I just slide it up through here, and then that'll give me a prick punch mark right on the underside of that cover. Then I drill out to 5/16 and I'm good to go. Now you will have to, and I think I probably mentioned this in the PDFs, you will have to sand this some just to get a good slide fit. But when you get this all set up, boy, she's rigid as heck. And you've got good alignment there. The next thing that gets a little bit complicated is how do you attach the motor, first of all, to this shaft, and then again to this plate. Now, I use transfer screws. I don't know, but you don't have to. Again, you could use just put a small screw down in there and use some nail polish, and you slide this up against there, just anything to give you a mark, and they don't have to be all that close. Just anything so you got enough clearance to get that screw down through there. And the transfer screws, if you're not familiar with them, they screw down into that 4mm hole, and then they provide a way that I can prick punch that once I hold it up against it. Now I did have to, on the way the motor comes up through there, for this is where the direction indicator mounts, and I had to drill that out with a number 7 drill and tap it to 1/4 in order to and drill and actually drill out the top of that that direction indicator for it to fit. But you may not even want to use that. You know, you can use whatever other devices that you may want to use up there. That may just be too much sugar for a nickel. You also will need some spacers when you mount this, because this part needs to go against up against the cover. So you'll need spacers there. I have a bushel basket full of them, but these you can get at Lowe's. You know, they're not hard to come by. And once you know that you've have to go, at least I can give you a heads up enough that you'll maybe only have to make 1 or 8 or 10 or 12 trips. And so let me think. At this point, we've got it assembled. And you know what screws you got to have. I'll go back to that again. You need 4 of a 4mm by 16, 4 by 4mm by 8, and you'll need at least one 632 set screw, and that's about it. I realize this is kind of disorganized, but I found a little slot this afternoon where I could find time to do this, and I just want to get it done to try to help you out. So again, thanks a lot, guys, for coming back to the channel, and I hope this helps you once you start doing the assembly.